Welcome back to Summon Tesla. I hope you guys are doing great. If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. As usual, I like to make videos a lot about, when there's questions that come up, and especially specific questions that you as the viewers ask. On a recent video I made with regards to range and how to basically get the best range out of your Tesla, I had a great comment here that I think I wanted to follow up on, and so I'm going to credit this video to Andre Costur, I guess his name. He made a great little comment here. He was talking about some of the other common power drains, many short trips versus long trips. He would like to know a little bit more about that. As far as, getting the best range possible, short trips versus long trips, related to heating and cooling. Obviously, that's something that's a really good topic. Actually, I'm going to bring that up in this video as well. And at higher speeds, people are talking a lot about you'll get a better range at 80 kilometers than you will at 110 kilometers. So let's go down the path of talking about some of the very basics. And when it comes to trips, ultimately it comes down to this. If you're talking about going on trips, long trips versus short trips, in my opinion, on short trips, you are actually going to, more often than not, you're going to waste a little bit more as far as energy than you will on long trips. On long trips, you can you have the ability to kind of maintain your speed, your energy drain, if you will. Something I mentioned in my video, in that particular video, which I'm going to actually put up here somewhere so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Follow that video. I'll also link it in the description below. But one of the things I mentioned about, I talked about in that particular video was when it comes to getting the best possible range out of your vehicle, you want to keep your energy flow as constant as possible. All that means is that you don't want to have, a drain on your battery just doing this all the time. That means you're on the accelerator, off the accelerator, on the accelerator, off the accelerator. See, when a lot of people, including Tesla, for some reason keep saying that you'll get the most range, the better range at in the city, not on the highway, which I found to be completely false. In the city, I consistently get less range, slightly less than I do, when I'm doing longer trips, especially highway trips. On highway trips, I've always been able to maintain a much better efficiency just because my drain of the way I'm draining that battery is very linear. It's very smooth. So there's no pressure on the battery. There's nothing really to worry about there. And I think that's something to keep in mind. I've done this test multiple times. Anytime I drive in the city, my watt hours per kilometer is much higher than when I drive on, especially when I drive on a highway, it's a lot less. To put that in perspective, on a highway, I can do, on my car, I can do somewhere between 140 and 150 watt hours per kilometer. Whereas if I'm in a city, I can go up almost double that. I can do about 250 to 300 watt hours per kilometer, which means I'm really draining a lot more. But it has to do with the cities in general. I guess it depends very much where you live, but in cities in general, where I live here in Vancouver, there's a lot of hills to deal with, up and down hills and those kind of fun things. And frankly, that will drain your battery a lot sooner. Now, there's a way to counter that too. I can get into it in a different video, but realistically speaking, if you're taking short trips, especially where you're going through the city, you're absolutely going to use up a lot more energy than if you're taking long trips where you're going through a nice linear use of power on the highways. And I think that's really, really a key thing to understand. The other thing that he brought up was a very good one. So thank you very much, Andre, because I actually wanted to talk about that. I forgot to add that in on that particular video. When it came to heating and cooling your car, so obviously, if you're driving in the wintertime, it's a little bit different. It has a lot to do with the fact that you're obviously going to have your heater on. I have not seen a significant enough drain on my power while I have my heat on. But there is a trick that I use, and I think this comes down to trick. And for me, I use this constantly, so it's not as much of a trick for me as it is a norm. my fan speed I never really put my fan speed above 3. In other words, even if I put my heat up higher, my fan speed stays really low. So maybe that has a lot more to do with it on my side. And this applies to the cooling aspect too. During the summertime when it's really hot, I basically have my fan speed at 3, even though I have my temperature set to very low. This is why I really don't experience much of a drain to start with, regardless of me having the heater on or having AC on. And when I say much, I'm talking yeah, almost immeasurable in many cases. Now, I've done the same trip multiple times, and I gotta pay attention here because I'm still driving. I've done the same trip multiple times, you know, throughout the year, and so I've had it where I didn't have to put anything on, where, you know, my heating and cooling was off. I've had it where I had to put the heater on and I had to put the AC on when I was in the summertime doing the same trip. And on long trips, it honestly made no difference. I was averaging around the same scenario, you know, minor if measurable. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Now, the third aspect of this that he brought up is a really good one again. Traveling at 80 kilometers or 110 kilometers. Now, this has been something I've been told by Tesla. I've been told by, well, countless people. And I was eager to test this out. I actually tested this out about 2 years ago. And I'm still doing it. I still test this theory out. So what I'll do is I'll take the same two distances. One, you know, where the speed limit is around 80 kilometers an hour, so I can keep my car, what is apparently the peak efficiency, the best efficiency is around 80 kilometers an hour. And then I went and basically did the same thing, but at 110 kilometers an hour. Same trip, same distance. And frankly, what I found is zero difference. In fact, in some cases, the higher speed actually gave me better efficiency. I don't know why exactly that would be, because I would think, like everyone else, that it would require more power. But to be honest with you, I haven't seen that. Again, though, I think the biggest difference between me and everyone else is the way I drive. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And even when Tesla is telling you, telling all the consumers, okay, this is the best way to drive, I think they're taking into consideration that majority of the people are used to driving a certain way. If you learn to drive these vehicles, adapt yourself to the EV mentality, adapt yourself to the idea that you have a battery pack, not an engine, then you're going to start driving very differently. And like I said, for me, my energy consumption, I want it to be very linear. I don't want to see peaks anywhere, not high, not low. I want to see as linear as possible. And the way to do that is basically maintain your speed, right? Whatever speed you're at, set it and forget it. Just make sure that you stay there. You're not asking for more power constantly. Don't weave in and out of traffic. Keep your lane, stay on your lane, stay at the speed that you're staying at. Keep your distance so that you have a very slow, gradual increase of speed if you need to, or very slow and gradual decrease of speed. And if you do that, honestly, you're gonna get very, very surprised at how much more efficient your car becomes. So a lot of my findings, I think, have a lot more to do with the fact that I have a style of driving that absolutely makes my car more efficient. So it's not necessarily that Tesla and everyone else is wrong out there. It's a question of how I drive my car, how efficient I am being while I'm driving my car. And so it could just be that. Ultimately, as I stated before in previous videos, when you're talking about range and getting the vehicle to be the most efficient, Tesla does help you out a little bit. When you go to your efficiency, you can go to consumption, you can see everything. One thing I mentioned a long time ago, maybe about 1.5 years ago, I actually talked about this aspect a little bit. So when you bring up your chart on your screen, you'll see that there's the kilowatts per kilometer or mile, depending on where you are. There is a solid line, and that solid line is kind of what Tesla thinks you should be at. You know, that's the best efficiency that you're gonna get by doing exactly that. Now, that being said, the best part about that is there's also a secondary line, and you guys will find that it's kind of like it's a dotted line, and that dotted line is kind of your best friend in many ways, because the way to look at it is that dotted line is you. So in order for you to do this right, you have to kind of be smart about it and keep your dotted line under your solid line. That's the best way I can tell you. If you can do that, that means you're being severely efficient. You're doing really well. You're doing better than what Tesla is rating your car at. If, however, the dotted line is above the solid line, you're basically not being as efficient. That's kind of what, you know, the best explanation I can give you guys. For me, for example, I am on a highway right now. I am using 160 watt hours per kilometer. I'm steady there. My current consumption is actually, it says 100. My average is 166 watt hours per kilometer, and that kind of gives you guys an idea of how good how driving the right way can really impact your range. One of the key things to understand is it's really up to you and how you drive. So currently, the way the car is working, I'm getting I'm much more efficient than what the car is rating me at. If I was doing this in the city, again, I would be driving this car right now around 220 to 250. If I hit really bad hills, then up to 300 watt hours per kilometer. So the efficiency in a city by far is not true. You're definitely going to waste more in the city than you will on a highway. The highway is just so much easier to maintain that that speed, that momentum, and that linear use of energy. So I hope this video helped. That being said, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may all have. I think the key thing to understand is everybody has their own driving style. Everybody has their own version of what they think is good driving. I kind of go back to what I say all the time, what I've been saying for almost 3 years now. Be consistent. It's not to say don't have fun, but if range is your thing, then be consistent with the pedal. Your accelerator pedal is your best friend, but if you be very consistent, you can accomplish amazing range with these cars as long as you drive properly. If you decide to drive a little bit, not so proper, you're gonna get the results you won't get the greatest results from your range. So yeah, that's about it. I hope that answers your question. Once again, thank you very much, Andre, for your question. And I believe I actually mentioned in the comment that I'm going to make a video. So this is dedicated to you. So shout out to you for asking the question. That all being said, I'm going to let you guys be, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye.